Now let's consider for a moment the question of the basis for one's friendship. We could call this the commitment scale. To get there, I want to talk about two different types of friendship in the sense that what the basis of the friendship is differs between these two types. The first type we'll call an accidental friendship. The second type we'll call an intentional friendship. Accidental friendship, intentional friendship. Now, what do we mean by these? Well, by accidental friendship, I mean this. In an accidental friendship, the friendship happens and continues to happen largely because life circumstances have brought those two people together accidentally, and because they've been in proximity with each other, they've been in the same sort of social space, they connect, they find that they enjoy each other, and they start a friendship. Now, the case is, virtually every friendship starts this way. I don't know anyone who wakes up in the morning and goes, I'm going to go out and find a friend today. That's typically not how this happens. Rather, we go through life in our various spheres of social relating. It could be our family to start with. Little children usually find friends or close relationships initially among their siblings or among their extended family, right? That's how we learn to socialize, is through our family. Once you grow up, you start finding other locations to connect with friends. School, church, your neighborhood, next door neighbor perhaps, or the person 2 doors down. Neighborhood becomes important. Eventually the workplace. Beyond that, different social connecting locations where people just come into proximity, find they enjoy each other, and friendships develop. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. In fact, this is the only way most friendships will ever have a chance to get started. But here's the question. If we leave accidental friendships as accidental friendships, if all we ever have is accidental friendships that never become intentional friendships, we place ourselves in a position where our lives and our relationships in those lives are always hostage to whatever might happen to that accidental social space we share. What happens, for example, if all your friends are in your neighborhood, but you have to move? What happens if your closest friends are those you met at college, but now you're graduating and everyone's going different directions? What happens if you've got this beautiful location at a workplace that has brought rich friendship into your life, but you lose your job? In other words, we have to intentionally work through the question of how not to leave our friendships at the whims of social happenings and happenstance. And the way to do that, of course, is to take accidental friendships, that's where they start, and begin to turn some of them, particularly those in our intimate and good friends, not in the casual friendship circle, but in the intimate and good friend circle, begin to turn them into intentional friendships that are based not on accidents of history, not on accidents of we happen to work here, we happen to go to school here, we happen to live in this neighborhood, but that regardless of where I work, where I live, we will be friends. That's putting commitment in place of accident for the basis of a friendship. Now, this can only be done as two people sense a calling to that level of friendship. This can only be done as we have conversations that talk about what would happen if one of us stops working here. Will we still be friends? This can only happen as we, with others, start to intentionally push into the complexities of friendship and begin to talk through what commitment looks like for the long haul, over the length of a life, and how intentionality can replace accidental friendships. A point to remember here is that a committed friendship doesn't necessarily have to be the most deeply intimate friendship. One could have, for example, a very committed friendship in the layer of good friends as opposed to intimate friends, as we're kind of using those three categories: intimate, good, casual. I think of one of the most beautiful examples of friendship that I've ever seen in my life. This developed several years ago when a group of women who were in seminary together asked me if I would come and talk with them about the possibility of them creating a covenant friendship together as friends. We did that. We spent an entire summer talking through this idea. And that fall, we actually designed, and I had the honor of leading them, these 9 women in a covenant friendship ceremony. It's the only covenant friendship ceremony I've ever seen. It was an honor to be a part of it. But we've kept in touch, me and some of these 9 women. And what I've learned so much from their experience of covenanting, committing together as friends for life. Now, one of the beautiful things was the purpose for which they did this wasn't just because they enjoyed each other. Wasn't just because it was useful to have some friends they could count on. The reason they did the covenant is they were convinced God had called them to be in each other's lives as encouragers and supporters for ministry for the rest of their lives. See, they all met at seminary, and they found out that it was not always easy to be a woman in ministry in this culture, and that God had called them to be there to encourage and support over the long haul as each of them were pressing into ministry into the future years. So they have a purpose, a kingdom purpose beyond just enjoyment. But as we've talked over the years, it's turned out that not all 9 of these friends have the same depth of intimacy with each other. In fact, one of them told me that her most intimate friends in life, none of them are in this particular covenant. She said most of the people in here would be good friends, but not her intimate friends. Which just goes to show that we can choose intimacy with a certain group, and another group might not be quite as intimate, but we can still have commitment within both of those spheres of relationships. All of this depends on having wisdom from God, clarity and intentionality from God as to how to allot this finite resource of time into particular relationships in our lives.